Today we're setting up set number 3. We have one large bin, one smaller bin, and our microphone box. 2 speakers, JBL M Pros. You also have included a small gig bag with 2 mini Kinta lights in it, and your gig bag with 2 speaker stands in it. So we're going to start over here with our small one. Once we open up, first thing we're going to see is your setup guide. Keep that handy. Smaller monitor for your karaoke singers. VGA input. Your mixer. Mouse pad. Your tablecloth, which always use your tablecloth for presentation. Make sure it's nice and neat, draped over a table. Your Newmark Mix Track 2. Very bottom, keyboard, and your power supply for your Yamaha mixer. We also have sterile wipes for your microphones. Important to keep these handy. Now that we've gotten everything out of the bin, we're going to put back what we don't need today. Close it up. And we're going to set it under our DJ table. Reasons being, when we put down our power supplies for our PC and mixers, we want to have some slack. Our next bin we're going to open up is our large bin. As you see at the top, you have your larger monitor. That is for the DJ, which has your DVI adapter on the end of the plug at all times. This is your primary monitor for your mixing. We also have your blue PC bag. We have your wireless microphone. We have an assortment of extension cords, your backup battery, your other extension cords, including your 3 prongs, and you have 2 separate surge protectors. Underneath is the first item we're going to put up, which is always sitting on top of a blue pillow, which is very important because it is an amp, it is heavy, and it is fragile. So our first thing we're going to do is we're going to set our amp up on the table. There you go. Start filming me. Now, again, for presentation, what we're going to do is we're going to have the front facing away from you. The fans, the rear facing you. Turn your knobs all the way down and make sure your power is off before setting it up. You don't want to turn on your amp at full blast. Not good for the circuitry. Newmark up top. Set up your primary monitor. You have a little bit of extra room. Again, keeping in mind this setup is slightly different since we're using a high top DJ booth versus one of our typical 6 feet table. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up the mouse to the right, the mixer to the left. Place our tower. In this example, because the table is narrow, we're going to place the tower sideways. Typically though, you want to have it facing, rear facing you. In presentation, we don't want the audience to have to look at this. So what we're going to do first, we're going to plug in now your primary monitor. Remember, with this tower, never ever use this HDMI and this VGA output. These were standard with the monitor. We had a secondary video card installed so we could have 2 monitors out for your karaoke singers. So first we're going to plug in our primary. That's for you. Next, let's open up our PC bag. Let's see what we have in here. A whole bunch of stuff we need. You don't need this today. This is a PC component, video. We have Y cable, AV, goes to a 1/4 inch, one end, right and left, audio on the other end. If you look at the back of the tower, just above your DVI input for your primary monitor, that's where you're going to plug in your sound output. This is now getting sound out of the tower into our main mixing board. When putting this in, this is very important. You're going to have 1, 2, 3 different left and right inputs for audio. We're using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th channel in, which is labeled 7 and 8. Red with red, black with white. The next item we're going to pull out is your VGA extension cord. So maybe if you are going to be a little bit further away, your karaoke singers, you want to give them a couple more inches of space to work with so they're not right on top of you. We're now going to plug this into the secondary output, which is your VGA output on the video card of the monitor. Always be careful to make sure that you have the pins lined up correctly, not plugging it upside down. Bent pins is a dead cord. Never, ever over tighten. Cannot stress that enough. Never over tighten your screws. You'll strip them, potentially damage the card. You also have your PC mouse and your standard USB cable. Now, whereas your mixing board is USB powered, it does not go directly to your mixing board. It works solely with your PC as a controller. One thing you're going to want to note here, the importance of the USB inputs in the rear of the PC tower. This Newmark mix track will go in the bottom left USB input on the rear of the tower. Your mouse will go in the bottom right USB input on the tower. Your keyboard. Now we're going to put placed nicely below the Newmark mix track. Is going to go in the top right of your inputs on the rear of the PC tower. Final component, which you will need to be logged in to use the Newmark and Virtual DJ Pro. Opening up this front pouch, there's going to be a small sleeve right behind the Protege logo. That, where we hide your network card. Slide that in as well. Alright, we're just about done with this bag. You want to come around this side with me? Around this side. As we talked about having slack before with your power, that's where we're going to put your battery. Make sure you don't have visible wires, not only for presentation, but tripping hazards. Sometimes your customers will insist on coming behind the table to speak to you. They should not, generally for safety reasons. But again, for that reason alone, you do not want to have any excess wires hanging out. Now your mixer has a slightly different power input. Make sure again you have the pins lined up before you plug it in. Screw it, never over tighten it, and keep it nicely in place. Now please note on the back of the battery for your power, you have two sides. So your surge, just standard power input, and you surge and battery. Once you have it plugged in, we're going to power this up. Your battery is the only one we want to have the PC powered off. The majority, you want everything else powered off the surge side only. This does not draw too much power from the battery. Now we're going to get out our extension cords. Because the amp takes up more power than anything else, we're going to run one of our 3-prong extension cords to the battery up to our main power supply on the wall. Reason being is now we have some extra outlets not connected directly to the battery. Now we can power out from the amplifier. Once we have power, hold down the button till it beeps and we're in business. Let's move on now. Black box. Inside the black box, you're going to have all your components, your microphones, speakers, and your headphones as well. Headphones are important. Use them. They're important for your mix to make sure you have a good mix for your customers. Let's start with our XLR cables. XLR, left to right ground. Velcroed together in this package, you're going to have 1/4-inch stereo to XLR. Why do we have these? We already have sound going from your PC tower to your small mixer, going from your 1/4-inch sound output in the rear of the tower. Now we need to get sound to the amplifier. So this is again very, very important. Bring the camera over here, please. There's several outputs. but some of them could be easily confused for line ins or monitor outputs. We want to be on this very end here, stereo, out, left and right. So we're going to take our stereo 1/4 inch jacks, plug them in right here. And the other end is going to go any inputs on the back of the amplifier, input 1 and 2. Put them in until they click, and we're in business. Now let's pull out our power cords as well. Again, you have several types of cords in here, but they all similar purpose. Power cables, XLR cables, you have your speak-on cables. All these are for running your power and your audio. We're going to use a larger gauge today, which again, note is grounded. Always use grounded cords. Lights not so much, your PC, your power components like your amplifier, always make sure they're grounded. We're now going to run this to our 3-prong power extension cord here. We're going to run up through the amplifier. We're going to take a normal gauge power cord and we're going to run it to the PC tower. In case of a blackout, a tripped breaker, what have you, we want to try to keep the PC from powering down a cold start in the middle of the show. That's why, remember we talked about surge battery, or PC, surge battery side. Make sure everything else is plugged in. Our mixer, computer, we have our amplifier. All of our USB components are plugged in. Our audio. Now we're ready to turn on the computer. Button located in the front, bottom of the tower. As that powers up, we're going to run now a signal to our speakers. I'm only going to show you how to set up one speaker. So you'll repeat the steps for the second. Speak-on cables. Note the clip here, pulls back, spring-loaded. Line up this plastic tab with the tab on the bottom. And then twist until it clicks into place. To remove, pull back on the tab, twist to remove. Now we're going to show you the easiest way to set up your speakers. 2 on-stage stands, your gig bag. Make sure the legs are nice and wide. Narrow setup, potential hazard. Somebody bumps into it, the speaker hits the ground. Not a happy ending. Make sure you put your pin. Again, never over tighten your screws. It's a quick way to ruin a good pin. Speaker, easiest way to get up on stage. One hand guides it from the top. Your dominant hand with your left or right pulls to the bottom. Pick up with your legs. One hand high, one hand low. Find, hold, line it up. There we go. Now your speak-on cable. Connect to your speaker. And the leg. And just like the back of the amp, we're going to line up the plastic tab, twist, snap it into place. Presentation is extremely important for your customer, so what another thing we're going to do, pull it, almost like a bow and arrow, and wrap it around until you get to the lower knob. You don't want to be overly tight as to strain the cord, but if you do it right, again, you have a very nice presentation. That's just about everything you need to know with setup. We covered the PC setup, we covered the mixer setup, your amp setup, power supply setup, and your speaker. Best of luck.